Good morning, dear students. Welcome back to another session of online chemistry classes. Okay, hope you are all fine at home. You are all ready for classes. Okay, and I hope I'm audible. If I'm audible, just raise your hand. Can I be heard? Yes, fine. Yes. So, in the previous class, we have discussed about different means about the syllabus. We have to study about 4 different types of chemical reactions. Okay, and we have studied 1 out of the 4, that is the synthesis reaction. Okay, or direct combination reaction. This has been studied. And now, in today's class, we are going to study the second type of chemical reaction for your study. That is the decomposition reaction. Okay, after direct combination, we are going to study the decomposition reaction. As I always do, I will give a chance for you to talk at the last. Okay, at the last, I will be giving some time where you will be clearing your doubts. Till then, just listen. Okay, be attentive so that you will have some genuine questions that can be cleared at the last. Okay, so regarding decomposition reaction, okay, from the very term itself, to decompose means to break something down. Okay, this decomposition can be brought about by many means, by heating the substance, by passage of electricity, by light. Okay, and any of these things, forms of energy, can decompose things. Okay, we will one by one come across all those things. Anyway, let's first of all see what decomposition is. Let's see the definition of decomposition. On page number 21, given the definition, simplest definition of decomposition. It goes like this: a chemical compound decomposes into 2 or more simpler substances. During a decomposition reaction, the terms included in the definition of decomposition mainly have to target on only 2 things. Okay, a compound. Definitely, decomposition happens to a compound, not to an element. Okay, so when a compound is decomposed, what is the expected outcome? 2 or more different substances. Remember, 2 or more different substances. These different substances can be elements or compounds. We will one by one see few examples from where you will understand it better. Okay, so decomposition. During decomposition, a compound decomposes to give 1 or more new substances. 1 or more new substances means it can be compounds or elements, or a mixture of compound and element. That depends. From the example, it will be clear. Okay. The first type of decomposition, that is, a compound decomposes to give 2 new elements. Compound decomposes to give 2 new elements. Let's take the example of mercuric oxide or silver oxide. Okay, I will write the equation here. HgO, okay, gives two molecules of mercuric oxide when decomposed gives two atoms of mercury and a molecule of oxygen. What is the difference between two atoms of mercury and a molecule of oxygen? Oxygen cannot singly as an atom exist, cannot exist. So oxygen will be in diatomic molecular form. That means two atoms will be joined. So oxygen molecule is what naturally available. But mercury being a metal, okay, it can, it can stay. Normally metals also won't be singly available. It will be in the form of sheet, okay, or a large number of metal atoms will be joined together. That is metal lattice, all those things I think they have studied or we will discuss later, okay. Anyway, in the example of mercuric oxide, which was a compound, so what is the definition to be, the terms to be taken care of from the definition? One, a compound only can decompose, okay. Decomposition happened to a compound, and during this decomposition, two or more different substances are formed, okay. We will be targeting only a single substance that on heating or on passing electricity or on falling of light decompose, break down to simpler fragments, simpler new substances, okay. So here mercury and oxygen are the two substances. They are both elements. We started with a compound and we have got two elements, okay. This is one type of decomposition. Now let's see the second type of decomposition, where a compound, again compound, we will start with a compound only, and this compound gives maybe one compound and an element. A mixture of a compound and an element may be the result, may be the product during this second type of decomposition. Let's see one example for that. This is the first type of decomposition, where a compound breaks down to form two elements, and sometimes these two can be more than two also, okay. Then the second type, where a compound decomposes to one compound and an element, okay, or two compounds and element is also possible, okay. Let's take the example, a second example can be taken. Let it be KNO3 as given there in the book. KNO3 gives rise to KNO2 and O2. This is not a balanced equation, right? So potassium nitrate, yes, now this is balanced. So here what we are taking is potassium nitrate, KNO3. On heating, it gives to potassium nitrite. This is nitrite. Okay, we have taken nitrate. Okay, potassium nitrate and potassium nitrite. We started with potassium nitrate and we got potassium nitrite, which is another compound and an element. One compound and one element. So this is the second type of decomposition, where we started with a compound and we got one compound and an element, okay. Then a compound also can decompose to give two new compounds. For example, let's say that is the third type, where a compound can be broken down to give two compounds or two compound and an element. I will write one equation for such an element also, such a decomposition also, okay, where let's take copper nitrate, CuNO3 twice, okay. Copper nitrate when decomposed it will give three new substances. CuO, copper oxide, then NO2 and O2. Okay, here in this equation, if you can see, again, this is a decomposition only. We have started with a single substance, that is copper nitrate. On heating, it gives copper oxide. Okay, then nitrogen dioxide and oxygen. Here, if you notice, two compounds are formed with one element. This type of decomposition is also possible. Multiple compound and an element. Okay. The other way also it is possible. Multiple element and a compound. So these are the sort of decomposition that we have to learn in class 9. Okay. I hope you understood. If it is clear, just raise your hand. Yes. Then some thermal decomposition of some type of compounds are what we are going to discuss now. Type of decomposition that happen to some compounds. So mainly in class 9 level, we will be studying about only 4 types of compounds. That is metal oxide, metal hydroxide, metal carbonate, and metal nitrate. What will happen if these type of compounds decompose? Generally, okay, we are not particularly pointing all those metal oxide, hydroxide, but generally what is the trend? What is the trend which is shown by metal oxides, metal hydroxides, metal carbonates, and metal nitrates? Okay, that's what next. Okay, when we talk about the metal oxide, you must remember one thing, like, have you ever heard of this metal activity series, metal reactivity? Have you studied or have you ever heard metal reactivity? There are many metals which are highly active, especially the first group metals are very reactive. Second group metals, I mean first group metal in the sense lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium, that is called the first group metal. Then what is it? Beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, radium, that is the second group metal. Then aluminum and boron family comes. Okay, so these are the reactivity, that is the way the reactivity goes. Okay, you know, out of the 118 elements which are present in the periodic table, which are known now, more than 80 are metals only. Okay, and all these metals are not equally reactive. They, in the terms of reactivity, they are much different. Okay, some are very highly reactive, some are moderately, and some are very less reactive, like gold, platinum, etc. Unreactive, or rather very less reactive. They are even called noble metals because of their high lack of reactivity. Okay, so there are different types of metals like this, and scientists have arranged all these metals, all these normally for your study. Only few metals are mentioned. Okay, and their reactivity is in the decreasing order of reactivity they are placed. Okay, only few metals for the scope of class 9 syllabus. It's mentioned there on page number 24. On page number 24, at the side part, there is a column given where the reactivity of general metals, common metals are shown, where potassium lies at the top, K, Na, Ca, Mg, and it goes like that. then aluminum, zinc, iron, lead, then in the bracket, hydrogen is put. Hydrogen is not a metal, but I will tell you the reason why hydrogen is put over there. Then copper, mercury, silver, platinum, and gold. That is the reactivity of some metals. Okay, at this level, you need to know only that much. Okay, so there I told you there are 80 or more metals out of the 180, but only for our discussion, only these many are given there, and we need to concentrate only on this. Okay, so for knowing what is a trend of decomposition in oxides, you must have a general idea on this metal reactivity series. The ones which are given at the top of this list are reactive metals, more reactive metal, potassium, sodium, etc. Highly reactive metals. Then as we come down, the reactivity reduces, decreases. Okay, zinc or iron, they are much more less reactive than the first metals. And as you further move down the group, you at the end you will find gold, then platinum, and then gold. That is the order. Okay, that means platinum and gold are highly unreactive, or rather very less reactive in comparison with the reactive metals. Okay, so this trend is to be kept in mind. This trend of reactivity of metals is to be kept in your mind, and keeping this in mind, we can proceed towards the nature of metal oxides, hydroxides, carbonates, and nitrates. Okay, so this is the metal reactivity series. It says nothing else other than how a metal reactive. Okay, the ones at the top are more reactive, and as you move down, they are becoming less and less reactive. And there is hydrogen placed because even though hydrogen is not a metal, the metals which are kept above hydrogen in the reactivity series liberate hydrogen. Okay, the metals above hydrogen in this list will liberate hydrogen when reacting with the dilute acids. That is the reason why hydrogen is kept there in the middle, even though it is not a metal. Okay, just keep in mind. Okay, that's not there in your syllabus, but casually I have said why that you can have a question like that. Why hydrogen, even though it is not a metal, is kept in the metal reactivity series. Okay, in order to clear that question only. Okay. Anyway, now let's see the oxides. Okay, metal oxides we are going to take. Metal oxides starting with potassium to copper. Look at the list again. From potassium to copper, the metal oxides are stable towards heat. Stable towards heat means they won't that easily decompose. They won't generally decompose. Okay, so potassium oxide, sodium oxide, calcium oxide, iron oxide, zinc oxide, okay, or lead oxide, when taken and heated, you will end up with nothing else. That means no reaction is normally happening. Stable towards heat means no decomposition happens. Okay, is that clear? Yes. Then towards the last, I mean after copper, you find mercury and silver. Okay, their oxides, as we have initially written an example, decomposition of mercuric oxide, HgO. The first equation that I have written today was that mercuric oxide to HgO gives Hg, that is mercury, plus oxygen. That metal oxide decomposes to give metal and oxygen. Okay, only mercury and silver. Okay, decompose to give that particular metal and its and oxygen. Okay, HgO gives Hg plus O2. Then similarly, silver oxide to AgO gives 2Ag plus O2. That is decomposition of the metal oxide to give you metal and oxygen. This is the general trend for oxides. This is the general trend for oxides. Okay, the first few of them, starting from potassium to copper, shows no reactivity, no decomposition. Okay, stable towards heat, and the ones that come after copper, that is mercury and silver, their oxides decompose to give the metal, the respective metal, and oxygen. Okay, this is about metal oxides. Okay, K2Cu stable, then Hg and Ag gives metal and oxygen. Okay, this is to be remembered about oxides. Now let's move to hydroxides. Okay, metal hydroxides. Okay, what happens to metal hydroxides? Almost the same trend is there, but for the first two elements in this case, hydroxides of potassium and sodium. Hydroxides of potassium and sodium don't normally decompose. Okay, they are stable towards heat. Potassium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide on heating will not give any chemical reaction. Decomposition do not take place. Then from calcium to copper. Okay, from calcium to copper. Once again, I remind you to look at the reactivity series, which is given there at the side. Okay, from the first two elements, potassium and sodium, they stable towards heat, they won't give any decomposition. Okay, then from calcium to copper, it gives their oxide and water as the product. Okay, for example, if we take calcium hydroxide, Ca on decomposition, on heating, will give you CaO and H2. Okay, calcium hydroxide on heating gives metal oxide and water. Okay, this happens from calcium to copper. Copper hydroxide, if you take, same thing will happen. Copper hydroxide will give you copper oxide, Cu is twice, Cu plus H2O will be the product. Okay, is it clear? So this is the second type of compound that we are discussing about, their thermal decomposition or decomposition, whatever. Okay, then what about the metals or metal hydroxides of which come beneath copper? Okay, they normally don't form their hydroxide. That means mercury, silver, platinum, gold, etc. don't normally form their hydroxide. If they don't form their hydroxide, then what is the need of talking about their decomposition? Okay, so they don't normally form their hydroxide, so we don't have to talk about their decomposition. Nothing is going to happen. Okay, then the third type of compound whose decomposition is going to be discussed now is the carbonate, metal carbonates. Okay, okay, the same trend is shown by potassium and sodium, not sodium and potassium. Okay, potassium comes at the top, which is more reactive, or which is rather more reactive than sodium. Even though they are both from the first group, potassium is more reactive than sodium. Okay, so potassium and sodium Their carbonate we are talking about now. Okay, potassium carbonate and sodium carbonate, they are stable towards heat. That means they don't normally decompose. Then the same trend of the hydroxide is being shown for from calcium to copper. Okay, give metal oxide and carbon dioxide. Previously, it was metal oxide and water. Okay, and now as carbonate is the salt, it is metal oxide and carbon dioxide. The product is slightly different. Okay, the compound was also different. It was hydroxide earlier, and now it is carbonate. So when a metal carbonate from calcium to copper on decomposition gives the respective metal oxide and then carbon dioxide. Okay, these are the two products. Remember, from calcium to copper. Okay, CO3, copper carbonate, gives you CuO plus CO2, carbon dioxide. Calcium will also give the same thing. Iron will also give the same thing. Zinc will also do the same. Okay, all those from calcium to copper, all those carbonates will decompose to give you the respective metal oxide and carbon dioxide. Then the less reactive metals like mercury, silver, etc. give metal, carbon dioxide and oxygen. There are three compounds, or one element and two compounds. Okay, the less reactive metal carbonates like mercury carbonate or silver carbonate on decomposition gives you the metal, then carbon dioxide and oxygen instead of metal oxide formed by the moderately reactive metals. They give metal, then carbon dioxide and oxygen. There are three new substances. We will be starting with the single substance, that is mercury carbonate, that is HgCO3. Okay, on decomposition gives you Hg plus CO2 plus O2. These are the three substances. Silver will also do the same. Now, the last type of compounds for our discussion is the nitrates. Okay, for metal nitrates, they are not stable towards heat. That means even potassium and sodium nitrate decompose on heating. I don't know whether you remember one of the first reaction that you have written. It was of KNO3. Okay, KNO3 on heating give KNO2 and oxygen. Okay, so that is clearly indicative of the potassiums and sodium's reactivity towards sodium nitrates reactivity towards heat. They are thermally decomposable. They can be broken down. Potassium and sodium nitrate will give their nitrites and oxygen as the product. Okay, then let's come to the next. The moderately reactive metals from calcium to copper. What they give is the metal, then nitrogen, metal oxide and nitrogen dioxide and oxygen. There are three products. Okay, sodium and potassium gives you only two products, that is the nitrite and oxygen. Okay, and other metal nitrates from calcium to copper. From calcium to copper, they give their metal oxide, nitrogen dioxide and oxygen. There will be 3 products. Okay, metal oxide will be there. What is a nitrogen dioxide will be there, and oxygen will be there. 3 products. Okay, the first 2 metals, potassium and sodium, gives 2 products, that is their respective nitrite and oxygen, and the moderately reactive one gives 3 products. Okay, metal oxide, nitrogen dioxide and oxygen. And now let's see the least reactive or very less reactive metals like silver, mercury, etc. They give their metal, nitrogen dioxide and oxygen. Okay, instead of giving metal oxide by the moderately reactive ones, they give their metal form. That means mercury nitrate, HgNO3 twice, gives Hg will be given, then nitrate NO2 will be given, and then O2 will be given. These are the products when nitrates of metals from top to bottom. The way they decompose. Okay, we are talking about the decomposition, but be particular about these different types of compounds decomposition, because they are all slightly different. Okay, and you have to link it with the reactivity series. You must keep in mind the reactivity series, then only you will be able to understand it in a proper way. That's why I'm stressing it once again. Okay, and there are few more decomposition reactions given on the next page, that is page number 25. That is thermal decomposition of ammonium dichromate. Okay, ammonium dichromate can be broken down into chromic oxide, water, and nitrogen. You know, this experiment, if I can show you, you will, I know definitely you will enjoy it, because have you heard of volcanic experiment? Once you, if you have time and mobile with you, you just check it in the net, you will find how this ammonium dichromate decomposes on heating. It gives a very, a spectacular experiment. Okay, once you come back to school, remind me, I will show you. Okay, we have those chemicals here in the lab and I can show you. Okay, then heat on hydrated substances. Heat on hydrated substances means there are some compounds like copper sulfate. Copper sulfate pentahydrate, we call it, CuSO4 5H2O. We have in the first chapter also seen this one. I have given you a question to solve. Find the percentage loss of water of copper sulfate. Do you remember? That very same equation is that. Okay, CuSO4 5H2O. Okay, that means that 5H2O is written separately. That means that is called H2O is water, you know. That is called water of crystallization. On heating, this water of crystallization can be lost. Okay, with this water of crystallization, 5H2O, this copper sulfate looks blue in color, and after heating, when the water is escaped, okay, it will become colorless. Copper sulfate only will be remaining. That is colorless. Okay, and that is a sort of thermal decomposition, only water has been separated. And on strong heating, this copper sulfate alone, that means anhydrous copper sulfate, on further heating will give you copper oxide, sulfur dioxide, and oxygen, like nitrates. Okay, we have seen nitrate, no? Nitrates of some metals, yeah, like copper also gives copper oxide, nitrogen dioxide, and oxygen. And here, copper sulfate on decomposition gives you copper oxide, sulfur dioxide, and oxygen. That is the only difference. Okay, there it was nitrate and here it is sulfate. Decomposition is almost same. Okay, nitrates give nitrogen dioxide, sulfate gives sulfur dioxide. Other products are same. Am I clear? Yes or no? Yeah. Then there is a thermal dissociation. Okay, the term thermal dissociation can also be related with this. Thermal decomposition and thermal dissociation. Actually, thermal dissociation is also a type of thermal decomposition only, but dissociations are often reversible. There are some chemical reactions which are reversible. Okay, and this reversibility is what is mentioned by dissociation. Okay, otherwise don't be confused with the thermal decomposition and dissociation. Okay, they are both same except for this one aspect. Dissociations are reversible. Okay, and there are electrolytic decomposition, photochemical decomposition, etc. Electrolytic decomposition means when when electricity is passed through a compound and dissociated. Okay, and when light falls on certain things to decompose it, then it is called photochemical decomposition. Okay, with these we can come to, I can stop today's discussion, and now I'll give you a chance for you to clear your doubts. Okay. Yes, I will be one by one asking you to unmute.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, Anna.
Sir, if O2 is already stable, then why it is combining with carbon?
If O2 is already stable, then why it is combining with carbon? Is that your question? Okay, this the compound carbon dioxide is more stable. That's the reason. And moreover, it is all because of the availability of atoms. For example, if carbon and oxygen, if oxygen alone is available, definitely one oxygen atom will combine with another oxygen atom to form oxygen, diatomic molecule of oxygen. Okay, and a rearrangement of this happens only when the bond is broken. Are you getting me? Formation of a new compound happens only when the existing bonds are broken. Okay, then the proximity, other available elements. Okay, already existing bonds between oxygen atoms are broken. That means they are free and they are in search of stability. They want to be stable anyhow. And if they are getting a carbon nearby, then it will go. It will combine with that carbon to form a stabler compound. Okay, if oxygen remains as oxygen itself, if the bond between two oxygen atoms do not break, then new compound formation will not happen. Okay, once the bond is to be broken and other elements are available, or oxygen is not that readily available, then it will go and combine with other element to form the compound. I hope you are clear. Channel? Okay, then Parth?
Sir, if we take a reaction like potassium dichromate plus hydrochloric acids gives KCl plus CrCl3 plus H2O plus Cl2, which kind of reaction is this?
Pardon?
That potassium dichromate plus hydrochloric acid gives potassium chloride plus chromium chloride plus water plus chlorine. What kind of reaction is this?
This is a sort of double displacement or displacement reaction, or double decomposition. Okay,
but here also the reactants are less and products are more.
No, we don't have much concern regarding the number of reactants and products. We are starting with the two substances, no? Ammonium chloride. What was the?
Potassium dichromate.
Potassium dichromate and the other one?
Chloric acid.
Hydrochloric acid. Yes. So in potassium dichromate, potassium ions and dichromate ions are separated, And then from hydrochloric acid, H plus ions and Cl minus ions are separated, and they will randomly select some other partners to form other products. Sort of double decomposition happens. Exchange of their ions happen. Okay, we will come across in the type of reaction in the next classes. Okay, Parth?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Then Aditi Mishra.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, in chemistry copy, we only have to write definitions and the questions from the book.
Yes. You have to write all those definitions which Shalini has already told you to write, and whatever I taught means the topics that I taught was only the from relative atomic mass, relative molecular mass, then gram atomic mass, gram molecular mass, then that's all. Only those definitions are there. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Then those questions which I have already told you to write, I have already made you to mark in the book. Okay. But keep your copies properly. That means with every necessary details, your roll number, all those things. I hope you have got. Write your name in and out. That means outside there should be a name slip or something where you will write all the details. And if anything happens to this, you should have again some reference inside. And on the first page at the top or somewhere, you write your name, and all those details that you have furnished on the cover should also be there in there. Okay. So that is to be done. Okay. Then how about Ani Sugrithi?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, in second chapter, we have to write the note.
You can write, no issue, but this time I will be checking only the first chapter because its second chapter is not yet complete. Better you write all those definitions. You keep on writing all these definitions that we are discussing here in the class can be written. And if anything extra is there, that I'll tell you. And when you write a definition, you better write it with one example each.
Okay, sir.
Okay, one balanced chemical equation or something as the example. Okay.
Okay. Sir, and question answer, we have to write of this chapter.
Question and answers, I will talk after completing this one. I'll tell you what all question and answers have to be written. But this time I will be checking only the first chapter, second chapter, as it is not yet complete. After completing, during the second round of checking or something, I'll correct it. Okay, fine.
Thank you, sir.
Then Rajnandini. Sorry. Utkarshita. Okay. Harshita or Utkarshita, what is this? Hello? Okay, I think we have some issue with this. I cannot unmute you. Some voltage fluctuation or something. I'm not able to do that. Okay, so I think it's time also. I think we will wind. Okay. Yes, tell. Yes.
Sir, which lessons are coming in first semester examination?
First semester examination, only the first 3 chapters will come, and now by the next week we will be winding up the second chapter also. Then a 3rd chapter. These 3 will be coming for the first semester exam.
Sir, thank you.
Yeah. Rajnandini.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So, like here it is written that into an hydroxide, sodium is stable to heat. So, but sodium hydroxide can be decomposed into sodium oxide and water.
It is possible, but normally under normal heating, it won't happen. Electrolysis can be done, electrolytic decomposition can be done, hydroxide can be, sodium hydroxide can be decomposed electrolytically. There are ways to do that, but normally under normal heating, this doesn't happen. That is what it means. Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Sir, in of chemistry workbook also we have to submit on 22nd.
Actually, chemistry students workbook is for only your work. Mean after completing every topic or every chapter, you better complete that without even the teacher's initiation. Teachers, even if the teachers don't say anything, you better go on completing that. That is for your practice. That is students' workbook. Once you try solving all those questions, if you find some questions very urgently to be solved, that you can ask in the what is it, the live session that we can do. Okay.